looking back, I'm like, man, there's a lot of stuff that we did that we never did on the last couple albums, you know.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now.
Jaime, thank you so much for your time. I know this is busy times. It must be stressful. A good way to relax when you're stressed out is taking a bath. Do you still take baths with dishing soap?
So, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's how I relax. Yeah, been pretty busy for baths lately. Just doing the standard shower out here. But yeah, we're really excited, man. We're got a lot of new stuff coming up. And just enjoying the calm before we get rolling again. But yeah, the last couple months have been very exciting. But it's nice to be home for a little bit and reset after, you know, we did a couple tours, and it was nice to get back out. But it's also nice to kind of reset again and do it all over again. So we're really excited.
So far, response to what you have put out is pretty good. I've had a chance to listen to the full album already.
Nice.
Now, with a band like Pierce the Veil, it's good to see the positive reactions, but we also know that there's always a lot of expectations as well. Maybe not necessarily from the band members themselves, but there's a whole team around you. You know, this is, you know, I think you're doing this now for what, 16, 17 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Are you
since
able to deal with that a little bit better now than, you know, 10 years ago, with that expectation, that pressure that is going to be there?
Yeah, I mean, you're always trying to kind of evolve, kind of get better, just as not only as people, but just as musicians, as songwriters. And this record, we're so lucky to have the same team from when we started. So we've grown up with these people, and yeah, I mean, you know, like, not only, like you said, we have a high expectation of what we want to do, but also our fans who have stuck with us since day one. Like, they really have, you know, they've grown with us, you know, like, so this record was, you know, nothing short of like what we would normally do. And we never really, I mean, obviously it took a long time, and there was a lot of things in between that time that kind of derailed us a little bit, but our goal is always to put out the best music we can possibly put out, the best songs we can put out. And we're always going to try to change. We're always trying to evolve. We're not trying to put out the same record over and over and over again. Like, we really want to try to push and try and see what feels right, what doesn't feel right. And for us, it's always a learning experience. You know, every record, we do things we love and we do things we don't love, and we learn from those things. So this record is no different. We did all of those and obviously it took a lot longer than it should have, but like I said, there was obviously a pandemic and a bunch of other things that factored into it. But we're just so thankful to be putting out music, and like you said, the reaction has been pretty awesome, you know. And we've kind of, by being in a band for this long, you're not going to make everyone happy. No. The best thing to do is make yourself happy first, make sure you're proud of what you're doing, and then everything else kind of will fall into place. And that's kind of how I feel right now.
Now, over the years, your band has been often very quickly categorized in a couple of boxes or genres, whether or not you like that. On this album, you mentioned, like, you know, we don't want to do the same thing over and over again, and nothing could be more true with this album. I feel that this album is undoubtedly your most varied album that you've ever done. We'll get to that in just in a moment. Is that in a bit of a, you know, a middle finger to everybody that's trying to label you too much?
No, I don't think it was necessarily like a negative thing, or like us being like, fuck everyone. You know, it was mainly us just being in a position that we could try different things, and you know, fingers crossed, obviously, that people will kind of understand where we're coming from. You know, like all these songs, you know, every time we write a song or make a song, we never really like have a plan for it. We just kind of do it. We let the song kind of take us, you know, and for a lot of our songs, like, not every song needs screaming, not every song needs singing, not every song needs piano, you know, like, so we don't really try to like pigeonhole ourselves. We try to just see what goes out there, you know. Like obviously the first single, Past the Nirvana, is way different than say Emergency Contact,
For
you
sure,
know.
yeah.
And that was, you know, we weren't trying to make a record like Past the Nirvana, we weren't trying to make a record like Emergency Contact. We just tried to make a full just spectrum of where we were at musically, you know, and what we were listening to at the time, you know, like listening to a lot of Rage Against the Machine, Deftones, you know, bands that we grew up on. You know, over time, you kind of go with stuff that makes you feel good, you know, and that's what I think happened on this record. We started listening to a bunch of that, like, you know, 90s grunge stuff and stuff that we all grew up listening to, and the punk stuff. And yeah, I mean, that was just kind of how it kind of shaped up, you know, and we like to just kind of let the song take us, you know, so that's kind of how it went for this record.
This is an album where every song has its unique identity, but they all do come together. It doesn't feel like, oh, this is a collection of songs from different bands. It's an album, but every song is unique in a way. And you already mentioned a few things. Yeah, you know, from the Melvins to Muse and a lot of 90s stuff in the middle. It's almost like, you know, a buffet of your inspirations that you're putting out.
Yeah.
As you're writing this, I know that was it Vic that spent some time in Seattle writing as well, or was that
Vic is a world traveler, man. When it comes to writing, especially like lyrics, he likes to just travel to different places. He goes to Seattle, he goes up in the mountains. He just tries to get out of his comfort zone, which is San Diego. And it's San Diego, it's a blessing and a curse, man. It's always so nice here and it's great to live here, but man, when you're trying to just work on stuff, you look outside and you're like, man, really nice out there. So it does get a little distracting at times. So his kind of thought process is to get out of his comfort zone, go and like to Seattle. He worked at Mike Herrera, MXPX's Mike Herrera's. We were lucky enough to have him lend us his studio up in Seattle, and he did a lot of writing there. And then he, you know, obviously comes back, shows us what he's got. We kind of build from there, and yeah, like we were saying earlier, like we're definitely trying to kind of showcase what we've been listening to and what we like, but also it's still us, you know, like as much as people, you know, say these songs sound way different than the last album, like there's still, if you listen to the whole album, there's still little things that you're like, oh yeah, this is still Pierce the Veil, and you know, they're still doing what they, you know, they love to do. So
yeah, did any of the other guys like surprise you with an influence they brought to the table? That because we hear some things on this record that we haven't heard from you guys before necessarily.
I mean,
was there a surprise for you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like there's so many different things that happen. Like having Brad from Third Eye Blind drumming on the record, that obviously had so much influence on how we were kind of creating and building, and his drumming style, you know, just so different than the last albums. Having our producer Paul Meany, who is an artist first. He was the singer for Mute Math, and we've never worked with an artist / producer before. We've always just worked with like engineers. So there was just a lot of new things happening. You know, being in New Orleans, being in that like kind of culture for a couple months. You know, that you can't help but have it influence you a little bit. You know, so
for sure, there's
a lot of different things on this album that that whether or not I believe so leaked in. You know, and you know, just like when you're, it just definitely, feels like looking back, I'm like, man, there's a lot of stuff that we did that we never did on the last couple albums, you know?
It's almost a celebration of your inner fanboy, if you will. This album, you know, it's for people our age, I'll say, you know, those 90s were very formative years. Now already considered, if you ask the newer generations on the street, like about the 90s, they think you talk about, you know, ancient times. We now see that there's this whole nostalgia vibe, no longer necessarily for the 80s, but late 90s, early 2000s. We saw Sick New World Festival in Las Vegas, obviously when we were young festival as well. Is there a creeping realization that Pierce the Veil has become dad rock now?
I mean, it's so different now, man. Like we used to, you know, we would see kids at shows, and then now 10 years later, they're bringing their kids to shows.
Yeah.
So it's like we're obviously been in this game for a really long time, and I think that's awesome, man. I love whatever. Like, I mean, I'll never categorize us as that, but like, so many fans have grown up with us and now have families, and now their children are fans, and we're just doing this cycle of like playing to new. I mean, for us, it's just new fans all around the world. So
Right.
we're just happy to have new people listening to our music, especially for being a band as long as we have. The last couple tours we did and shows, we would ask every night who's seen us before, and a lot of people would raise their hands, and then we'd be like, who's never seen us before, and it was like more than half the crowd. So
Oh wow.
being in a band as long as we've been, you kind of don't believe that. You like, there's no way you guys haven't seen us play before.
Yeah,
This is crazy. So I think because of how long it took for us to put new music out, we feel like like rejuvenated, like a brand new band. Like we feel like we're starting out again. So this is a really cool time for us.
With that, when you say that right now, but also knowing that you guys do channel some of your own nostalgia in this album, would you consider yourself a quote-unquote nostalgic person? So for example, not just yet this year, but the 20th anniversary of the band is coming up very fast.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a person that looks at a milestone like that and says like, I don't care about it, I want to focus on our next album? Or is that a moment for you to go like, yeah, like we should celebrate that and maybe do something special for that?
I'm a big fan of celebrating little wins. It kind of keeps your brain on track. I don't like to get too distracted.
Okay.
I like to celebrate. Just so like you just said, it's as simple as like, hey guys, cheers! Like we did it. Like King for a Day. When King for a Day went platinum in the U.S., we're like, this is insane. The crazy amount of like. But it took a couple days until we're like, let's get back to work. We got to do more. We got to keep moving. So obviously, I think it's good for your just brain to celebrate all the little things.
Yeah.
Don't get too like stuck in that, because then all of a sudden you feel like you did it and you're done, and we're not done. So we have a lot more to prove. We have a lot more. We want to just keep growing. And I think with every album, there was not one album that all of a sudden just kind of shot us up. It was a slow burn all the way through. And I think with this new album, it's the same kind of thing. We're trying to showcase what we've done as a band, but also gain new fans in the process, and maybe make it a little bit more accessible to us for say a fan that didn't grow up in the screamo scene. Somebody who's just walking by and be like, who is this? I like this. Like this is cool. Like I can get behind this, and then we build. So that's kind of the hope, right?
One thing that hasn't changed since you started, even with everything digital that has happened, is you still have to tour. You have to play. You have to do a lot of that, and you're going to do a lot of that in 2023. We've obviously, you said it. You've done a lot of shows in 2022 as well, but you've got a really cool European tour coming up. You've got great festivals coming up as well. What right now? Kind of, we're still in January as we're talking. Start of the year. Is there that one show or one leg that you're like, I know every show is important, every fan is important, but is there this one part of it that you're like really excited about?
I think just being able to play, going back on some headline tours, playing a lot more songs than we're used to. Now that we have, so many albums that we can choose from, as that's one thing that you don't really think about. Like when a band first starts out, they only have a small amount of songs they can play, it's the only songs they release. And as you start to grow and make more albums, make more music, you have a little bit more of you can kind of make this set list. So now I think I was always dreaming of this moment where we can like sit down and see all the albums we created and pick and choose our favorite songs from each album and like make this, super fun show. So right now we're like, the work was when we were making the album in the studio, right? And now here's the fun part. We get to play those songs for all these fans across the world. So I really look forward to this time. This is probably one of my favorite times, being able to perform, being able to play these shows and sing new songs and seeing the fans react. So like right now is very exciting time, the calm before the storm. We've always been a band that every time we went to shows as kids, we love when bands that we grew up listening to gave the fans what the fans wanted.
Right.
We were very into like when they had the hits and they would play the hits, or the classics. I wasn't a big fan of when bands like completely said, you know what, we're not playing those songs. We don't like those songs anymore. We're going to play these new songs, and that's it. And I respect that. That's cool. But as a fan, I've always loved when bands give the kids what they want, and I think we're in that same boat. You know, we know how we started, how we kind of built this band, and we love making the fans happy. So obviously, with this many albums and going back, like you said, to the classics or whatever, I'm excited to build all these new shows and try to like I said, we can't make everyone happy, but we're gonna definitely try and give everyone what hopefully they want. So it's going to be a lot of high energy, that's for sure. A lot of
There's actually, on that note, there was a really cool interview with Lemmy of Motorhead, who was like, yeah, sure, I'm sick and tired of playing Ace of Spades, but every show there's that one fan that has never seen us before, and they may have traveled for hours to come to the show, and I owe it to them.
Exactly.
Awesome.
That's a perfect example of why we do what we do, because we don't know who we're playing for that night, and that's something that we always give everything we possibly can. Whether it's the 1,000th time we played at that city, it doesn't matter to us. Like, every show is special, and that's exactly why.
The band as a whole comes across more relaxed and feet on the ground than ever before. Is that something that you agree with? Is that a positive evolution for the band?
I think so. I think for us, because we've been in this industry for so long and we've learned a lot, and we weren't afraid to fail. And we did fail a lot trying different things. We've just learned from all of these things. And like I said, because we took such a time off, almost half a decade of trying to figure out what we were doing. It's nice to be able to like restart and build this again. And now we have so much knowledge that we've gained from years of being in this industry. Now we can kind of pick and choose and do kind of what we want to do and do it right. In our opinion, do what we've always wanted to do. And not only are we closer as friends, as bandmates, but just as like a full unit, like during the last 5 years, all of us got married. Vic has got a child on the way. Like we've grown so much and built our little community a little bit bigger, and that to us is super. It's invaluable. Like there's nothing. We have a whole team, not only with our our agents and people and our but in our friends and family. Like we have this strong community now, and that's what it's all about. Being able to build this and make it a it's like we're passionate about it, and we built it from really like nothing, and now we're here, and we're so thankful to be in this position, because a lot of bands can't do that. They can't just take that much time off and then come back and then even be relevant again. So the fact that we are just a little bit in the scene still, it really makes us happy.
Very exciting for all the fans. Wish you all the best with the release cycle. I know these are crazy, hectic times, but enjoy that calm before the storm. And I want to thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Jasper Demand. Is that how you say it? Jasper Demand?
That is my actual name, yeah.
Wow.
That's not awesome. A nickname that I gave myself.
That's perfect. I love it.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it, and subscribe to the channel.